end of Serene Stadium. School board. Right at the end of Serene Stadium, what school do you think they're?
All right, folks, we'll call the January 23rd meeting of the Great Travel Trust Planning Commission to get to order. And we'll welcome Andrew Walker as our newest member, so thank you.
Welcome.
For those of you who don't know, Andrew and I worked together for a number of years at Prisma. He's been interested in becoming involved, and a few years ago I suggested starting at this level and learning, and then maybe he'll run for office in a few years. So and then those of you that are here to join us, thank you so much for being here. Myself and Ben are returning for new terms, so thank you, Ben, for that commitment. And we will do a roll call at this time. So Andrew, we'll start with you, just your name, and we'll come down the line.
Sure. So Andrew Walker.
Evan Cantrell.
Michelle Garrison.
Rebecca Cooper.
Diane Maxwell.
Ben Klosowski.
Thank you all. Don Watson is not here. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve our minutes from the December 5th meeting. We all received that in our email, and there is a hard copy attached as well. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by the right hand. Opposed, like sign. Thank you. New business, election of planning chair and vice chair for 2025. As per the bylaws, chairperson and vice chair shall be elected by the planning commission. Officers serve for 1 year. Staff is requesting that we elect a chair and vice chair at this time. Do I hear a motion to nominate a person for chair?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Rebecca Cox.
Cooper.
Sorry, Cox Cooper.
Rebecca
Let's do that.
Cooper.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm happy to serve again, so thank y'all very much. All in favor, signify by the right hand. Opposed, like sign. At this time, I would entertain a motion for a nomination for vice chair. I would nominate Michelle Garrison for vice chair. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by the right hand. Thank you. That we have to do that every January. So thank y'all. We have one item on our agenda tonight, specifically TR 2501 RZ. The applicant, Valsetti LLC, requests a zoning amendment for a property located at 305 Highway 25 North from R15 and C2 to C2. There has not been a use determined at this time. Those of you, if you've looked at that package, you'll see it was kind of a weird property, and the way the zoning was combined, it just cleans it up, makes it a little more feasible to do something with it. So, Jay, do you have anything to add?
Yes, so as you stated, this is a split zoned piece of property. And if we can go ahead and go to the zoning map.
And we do have representatives for the owner here tonight, son and daughter-in-law.
Yep, Aubrey Garrett.
And so what we have is, this is a residual piece of property that was left over from an old subdivision when Highway 25 kind of came through years and years ago. And somehow, during the time, it became split zoned. And so when you have a piece of property that's split zoned, the property owner wanted to come and say, you know, let's clean this up and let's make the whole thing commercial zoning. It's adjacent to the Rite Aid, as you know, at the corner of former Rite Aid, at the corner of State Park Road and Highway 25. Its only frontage is on Highway 25 itself. There's an odd little piece of property in the middle that's a leftover lot that's been there for years that has no road frontage, but does have a drive easement that goes across the subject property and across the Rite Aid property to get to State Park Road. So the gentleman drives across the parking lot and then across the drive on the subject property to get to his portion of property. And so when we have a request like this and we explore what the appropriate zoning is, we go to the future land use maps. And so I'm going to show you two future land use maps. Usually we only abide by one, but I wanted to go ahead and show you both of the ones we have here. No, that's not it. It's the future land use.
That one.
FLU, yeah. And so this is the county's FLU. And so the red and yellow striped portions along Highway 25 there are listed as commercial mixed use for future land use, which I wanted to show you. It is, and it falls in agreement with the other thing we'll show you, which is the FLU TR. Unfortunately, it is really, really, really small. But if you look, I'll try to drive the little mouse and put it. It is
Right there.
Right there. And so what we call for is commercial and mixed use as well there. So when we look at a zoning this way, we want to make sure that it aligns with our comprehensive plan. This is our 10-year comprehensive plan, and it calls for that area to be C2. And with it having its only frontage along Highway 25, the planning staff concurs that this should be rezoned to C2 property, if you have any questions for me.
So Jay, could you just give us a few bullets on what might be in a C2 zoned property?
Oh, man, you put me on the spot for that. It's your standard commercial uses. The property, go back to the map. C2 is what's usually alone, sorry. Go to the zoning map. That one right there. So C2 is the darkest purple, or pink. It's a rough day. So that is where you usually have commercial corridor types of commercial uses. You could have drive-through restaurants. You could have
Retail.
you know, Walmart would be in
offices.
C2. This is obviously not big enough for
Right.
Walmart or anything
Right.
like this. It would be a smaller C2. Across the way, you can see a touch of a lighter pink. That's C1. Inside that C1, specifically that portion there, that's where the Ace Hardware is. And so there's a nail salon in there. I can't tell you exactly the uses it allows, but C2 allows more uses than a C1. Because C1 isn't neighborhood commercial, but it's got more
Of a
of
neighborhood
your-
feel.
More of a neighborhood feel, yes.
But it's kind of the standard commercial that
It
we
is the
would see
standard commercial that's used
on a commercial
along,
corridor.
like, 25 commercial corridors. That's what it's, all the way up that area.
All right. Any other questions? Can you just tell us a little bit about, so if we recommend approval of this rezoning request, will that easement remain intact for that property
Yeah,
owner?
rezoning does not undo an easement. It does not undo the connection or that the gentleman has for his
Access.
property.
Mhm.
That access remains in place and rides with the property no matter what the zoning is.
And I did ride down Walnut. The house is in front of it. There really is no room to put an access from Walnut. Those
No,
houses are
there
pretty
is,
close
there's not,
together.
they are close
Yeah.
together and they're, so that's why when it went this way, it did stay that way. According to our comprehensive plan, that piece of property should be zoned C2 as well. And so it is just a leftover piece, but it will not keep the gentleman from using the property as he sees fit within the zoning.
And I would remind our members and those in the audience, we did, not necessarily required, but we did schedule a public meeting
There
for
was a-
this.
Yes.
So if this individual wanted to come and have conversation, or any other neighbors to that, because there are residents on the other side of this property. No one came to the special meeting,
Nobody came to the meeting.
and Mr. Brown has had conversations with this property owner, so
That is
we're
correct.
certain that he is aware and did not formally make a statement or oppose or anything about that. So
That is correct.
I just want our members here to know that we did our due diligence,
I will-
as did Mr. Brown.
I will add, in studying the appropriateness of the zoning, DOT would never grant an access off of Highway 25 for a residential piece of property.
Right.
In this case, with a property that's zoned C2, the DOT may allow an encroachment that would be right in, right out only, because there is no other access. The easement that is applied to the property from State Park Road is applied specifically to
That,
the gentleman in the middle and not specifically for this property. So this property would either function together with the Rite Aid property at some point down the road. There are no plans at this time, but there would be a conversation, and I think Jim has talked to SCDOT about the ability to do a right-in, right-out only.
and that would be up to
That would
the
be,
property owner and development to pursue
Yeah.
that.
that would all be up to them to work out the access to the property.
Parcel in question?
No, just
The
for that.
easement,
Zoning?
what's that?
It crosses
house?
it crosses it,
Yeah.
but it goes directly to that house.
That's right.
We rode back there yesterday.
Yeah.
The easement is written in favor of the gentleman who is landlocked. Yeah.
And so that easement would follow through with,
Mhm.
with this parcel?
That's right.
So if it's own C2 and they do not allowed to build over this easement?
They have to
They have
main,
to-
they have to
maintain
work with that
access.
owner and maintain access to the piece of property. That's correct.
So my concern is if this goes to C2, and I understand that residents buffering or adjacent to this property didn't show up to express their opinion, and you may or may not have a use in mind. And as planning commission, we only deal with residential and not commercial, so I don't, what would come next for?
Well, it could be. It
Residents.
would come to us if it's commercial.
Could.
And
Yeah.
there are required buffer requirements.
There are buffer requirements that are required between any residential use and
Commercial
commercial
use.
use. They would not come back before the planning commission if it was just a site plan approval under commercial. That would come before me. And so my job is to make sure that the screening and the requirements for buffer between uses are put in place. And it would be incumbent upon the C2 use to put the buffer in place, not incumbent upon the residential to place that buffer. The
And-
buffer there is usually 25 feet.
Right. Right, I know the area very well. So down the road, do you all have a time frame? Do they have a time frame to?
To make it a little cleaner for an opportunity.
Clearly, there's something down the road, though, I guess is what I'm asking. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to go to this trouble to do that, right?
He would like to amend it and make it.
Is the property for sale at this point in time?
No.
Any other questions? All right, I would entertain a motion to move this forward to council for consideration for approval or denial, your recommendation
I'll
to,
move it forward to the council.
for approval or?
Approval.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coaching that out of me.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by the raised hand. Opposed, like sign.
It was a 4-2? Okay.
Thank you. Y'all are free to go if you want to. Up to you. You're welcome to stay. We got a couple other things. In our packet, we have a copy of our planning commission bylaws. So those are for information purposes. Is that correct? For information purposes?
It was for information purposes, yes,
So
ma'am.
we don't need to take action on that.
No, we don't need to take any action on it. I just wanted
Yeah.
to, I was just looking at old agendas, and they had provided it before at the first meeting of every year, so
Yeah.
I said, I'll do the same thing.
Perfect. And you're welcome. Y'all have a good evening.
Wonderful evening.
All right, and then our other item is Jay has provided us with a schedule of meetings for the coming year. So these are dates that, 6 o'clock here, that we can note on our calendars. If a month comes up that there is no action to be taken,
I've been filling out an agenda that we have no items for consideration, and I'll send it out
Yeah.
before then to
and then
notify
that
you.
would, we would not meet for that.
And
We
the
don't have anything
only,
to act on.
The only odd meeting date is, based off this past year, and it was my fault. I forgot to post the meeting early enough, and we moved it to December in the first week.
Because it conflicts with Thanksgiving.
That's right. And and we never had a December, late December, because that conflicted with
Right.
Christmas. So we stuck it in the middle. We had mentioned this before, previous, and so we wanted to go ahead and keep that date and make sure, I think it'll work moving forward. And if it doesn't, we can always change it. We're not required specific times and everything, just to make sure we set an agenda for the year, or meeting dates for the year.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you for our guests for coming. We appreciate you coming each month. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all.